I should point out, if you haven't watched this video up here, the u87ai versus the NT1, you're going to want to watch that first because this one just spoiled that one. So yeah, go watch that one first. So this video may upset a lot of people, but I did feel like it was necessary to do that video to drive home a few points. It was a bit of a scientific test. However, the results are absolutely amazing. So please hear out this whole video before you rage quit in the comments, okay? You see, I wasn't lying when I said Peter Friedman gave me the idea for this video when we met, but basically the rest of the video was a lie. Both microphones, the NT1 and the u87ai, were featured in that video, but not in the way you might think. You see, I commonly use the mic A and mic B titles to show you that I'm switching between microphones. However, you're going to have to forgive me. I never said that I was going to do that in that video. Sorry, I only changed mics once during that video, meaning one microphone was about half the video and the other microphone was the other half. Now, I'm going to reveal those in a bit, don't you worry. So then I guess the only other question is probably, why did I lie? Well, I had a few reasons behind the sneaky behavior. First of all, this was a test to see if anyone could actually hear the acoustic differences between the mics on voice. And interestingly enough, in this test, not a single person could. Now, one person figured it out after I told them what to listen for, and again, that is coming up in a bit. Now remember, the NT1 and the u87ai do sound slightly different in certain frequencies, but it's a lot more subtle than you might think considering the price tags. Now, secondly, I find these tests to be rather easy to break as it's a bit of a 50-50 guess, and if you're aware of the sonic differences between the output of the microphones, you should be able to accurately guess when presented with that constant back and forth, especially when you listen with your eyes as well, and that's the trick. Now remember, your brain is basically a supercomputer and is processing a lot of stuff you don't even know about. So even a slight bump in output as my face ever so slightly moves towards a microphone can be a dead giveaway, meaning I had to remove that to create a sterile test. All visual cues needed to be dropped. And all that I just said kind of makes this next confession even more bizarre. And this is where people are probably going to hate me the most. I did actually alter the audio ever so slightly, but hold on. You see, I boosted every second clip by 2 dB. So mic A was baseline, and mic B was boosted 2 dB. It's not enough to offend, but just enough information that tells your brain there was a change. Both mics had this treatment though, keep that in mind. But then how did that 2 dB mask it so well and make people think that was actually two different microphones? Well, that's something called the Fletcher-Munson curve. Yeah, this thing right here. Now, don't worry, I'm going to spare you the bulk of the science and math, but you see, our ears have an internal EQ preset, and it's intended to make other voices stand out. Basically, it's a mids boost. Now, what that Fletcher-Munson curve points out is how much louder the sound has to be before the ears hear the other frequencies at the same level as that mids boost. Now, while all of that might have just gone over your head, it just means that we're wired to perceive louder as better, or fuller at least, which is why people seem to like loud music more. But it's also why a lot of people thought that mic B was the Neumann, meaning all the frequencies were just a bit more clear. In fact, one person came right out and said mic B sounds better, whereas the people that thought the u87ai was mic A kind of all point to the boost in the treble they hear in mic B as being the indicator. And while that 2 dB boost was imperceptible by everyone that watched this video, there was just enough there for your brain to make an educated guess, which was just interpreted by your misconceptions of what each mic brought to the table. But I should point out something very important to consider. That 2 dB boost on mic B did not change the sound of the microphone. It only changed the perception of the sound by your brain. It basically slightly overrides your internal EQing. I know, that was a very diabolical thing to do. I get it. But also, how cool is your brain? Okay, so here's the next question you're probably yelling at your computer or maybe your phone. What is the bloody point of all this? Well, the point was simple. Most of us cannot tell the difference between the NT1 and the u87ai on voice. Peter Friedman was right to brag. Putting the NT1 up against the u87ai is a ballsy thing to do, but also in the right environment. As I tried to create, the results can be rather shocking. Yes, there is a difference in the nuances between the microphones, but without context, you can't hear them until I point out where the actual change happened. And yes, I promise we're getting to that. But first, what can you as a listener take out of all of this? Well, you should probably go buy an NT1. Seriously, when I called this a mic that everyone should have in their locker, I meant it, especially at the price it's sold at. But does this mean that the u87ai is not worth it? Well, there are differences that I did not get into with this test. Most importantly was the off-axis coloration. The u87ai is legendary for many different reasons. However, it's just not worth $3,000. You could record a hit album with an NT1 and an NT2A and not a single person would hear the difference. And you get to pocket the difference in the price, which is over $2,000 even after buying both of those microphones, which is crazy. So first, which mic was which in the video? Well, the first half of the video was the NT1, and the second half of the video was the u87ai. Here's the proof from my edit. As for where in the video I switched, well, it was at 2 minutes and 18 seconds. If you listen really carefully, you will hear the switch. And while some pointed out that it's harder to tell on voice, yeah, but kinda not also, really. Sounds like copium trying to justify the price tag of over $3,000 for a microphone. For the sake of just maybe not just always poking at the trolls, I should point out that, yes, I do understand that when you use this on an instrument, a lot of the frequencies come through a lot clearer because they're a lot louder and all of that fun stuff. But to insinuate that you can't tell on voice, I can clearly tell the difference between a U87 and an NT1. That's not the point of this video, though. The differences are very nuanced. That is the point of this video. Also, it's kind of a cool introspective into how the body works and how frequencies work with your brain. It's really cool. Try to focus on that. By the way, this test also proved why I will never buy a u87ai. Yes, it is a great mic, but unless you're a professional studio or you have enough money that $3,200 isn't a big deal, just go buy a Rode NT1. Cheers, guys, and thanks for watching.